All right, I hope you've been paying attention. So remember we had talked about how we got to this C3 fragment. We had said that we had the classic pathway, which was just antibody-antigen interaction, produces these fragments of complement. We had said that a piece of that C3, the C3b piece, would actually produce more C3 complement, break more complement into C3. And then we had talked about how carbohydrates on the surface of pathogens will cause this lectin response that will result in, there it is, in the C3 fragments being produced as well. And then we said that the C3 fragment breaks up into two smaller fragments, C3a and C3b. And so what do they do? How does this help fight off the antibody or fight the pathogen? How does this help fight the pathogen? Well, it ends up the C3a fragment, that C3a piece, it has two effects. It affects the basophils. We keep going back to the blood cells when we talk about the lymphatic system, because they are the cells that do the job in the lymphatic system. So what happens? The basophils, remember we said they produce an inflammation response, walling things off. And so they stimulate basophils. The C3a fragment stimulates basophils to produce an inflammation response. In addition to that, it's going to activate macrophages. What are macrophages? Antigen-presenting cells. So it activates them. It says, hey, start looking around. We've got some trouble here. And then neutrophils. We said neutrophils, they're phagocytic cells as well. So that's two ways that complement helps fight off infections. Now we have this other fragment, C3b. C3b is going to do something kind of remarkable. What it does is it has an effect on red blood cells. It causes the red blood cells to pick up antigen-antibody complexes. So we said the antibody's out there and it's grabbed onto a pathogen, and then along comes a blood cell and it says, here, I'll carry you to the liver. And in the liver, that's where it's going to be taken care of. So it clears it from your body through activation of red blood cells. That's the first effect of the C3b fragment. The second effect is it makes the pathogen look yummy. The term we use for that is called opsonization. It coats the pathogen like it's butter, and it makes it even more tasty to those macrophages. So we call this opsonization, and so that is a result of the C3b fragment. And then finally, probably the most remarkable effect of all is these, if you look, I don't have all the details. I don't care that you even know the details, but you'll notice that in the details in this packet, where is it? Right here, this lower portion right there, I'm going to talk about all these fragments, all these other fragments. We were talking about the C3 fragment. That means there are all these other fragments. Well, these other fragments, the C3b fragment, kind of pulls them all together to form a membrane attack complex. Literally, it makes a protein, a fragment, it produces something that kills pathogens. It pokes holes in the pathogens, this membrane attack complex. So we have the 5 effects of complement, and we had said, what is complement? It's a antimicrobial protein that's in circulation in an inactive form, and it is activated and it complements the immune system. That's where it got its name.